Hi, this is Bob Colson. I'd like you to spend some time with me in my shop, seeing some of the things that I work on in putting together one of my cane rods. This should be kind of interesting, and eventually there will be some wonderful music in the background. It all starts with deciding what kind of taper you want, what you're trying to achieve in the rod, and I do this through my taper sheets and graphs of the moments and of the dimensions of the rod. This happens to be a 3-way rod, 8 feet. Now, all cane starts with what you see at the top, which is a raw comb, and I flame it. It gets split, what you see up in the next to the flame cane. Eventually, it gets bound where you see it. I use a node press, one of Tim Abbott's node presses, to heat the nodes and then to straighten out the nodes. As all rod makers know, the nodes give you a particular problem. This is advice that really helps you out a lot. Now, I use a Crompton binder to bind my sticks together after they are initially beveled into 60-degree triangles for heat treating purposes. I also use this binder for my large sticks. This is what the sticks look like when they come out of the heat oven. They get treated for various times depending on their size and so on. And they have shrunk about 5 to 8%, and the strings are quite loose. Then you start the planing process, and you can see the different planes and my planing forms and some strips and the gauges that I use to determine whether my strips are exactly the right thickness. And of course, sometimes you start taking very, very small shavings, like for example what this one is showing, as we will see in the next slide, that the shavings are about 1/1000th of an inch when you get to the end, because you want to make sure when you're planing off the last pieces of that cane that you're not doing much damage to it. Now, after everything is planed out, I hollow my rods. Every rod I build is hollowed through all sections. I generally build in 3 sections, and so all 3 pieces are hollowed. You can get some concept from these 2 slides of just how much is taken off and the dams that are left from the scalloping process, so that you have some hoop strength to the rod. It reduces the weight some, but it really improves the performance of the rod immensely. After the rods then are glued and put together, they are hung up, and you can see there's a different thread on this because I use a dual thread binder for most of my smaller rods and when I bind them for gluing purposes. This is after they come out and I put them in my impregnation process. This is what they look like when they come out of the impregnation process. And I have focused on one of the nodes because we spend so much time working on these nodes to try to make them smooth and try to reduce their impact and to kind of move them out. You can see also that the seams of this rod, like most good rods, are quite tight and well put together. It's a rod that will last a long time. These are the little jigs and tools that I use when I'm wrapping the rod, putting the guides and putting the decorative wraps, which are not many on mine. You can see there's a white silk in 2 different sizes and kind of rusty brown silk. And this is just a shot of me working on putting together this white silk on wrapping down a guide. And people are sometimes fascinated by this process, and it's hard to do really, really well, but it's something not hard to learn. And of course, those guide wraps, in fact, all wraps get kind of smoothed out with this tool that I use. Once it comes out of everything's wrapped, and I dip it in my varnish, then you can see there I have a couple of rods, both 6-way rods in this case, that are sitting in my rod drying cabinet. It's heated, and you get dust free. This is when they come out. This is kind of what a stripping guide looks like on a 6-way rod. A little light kind of is catching some of the varnish and so on. You can see my guides come out translucent with that very thin line of that rusty brown thread that looks like it's holding it together. It actually makes a very pleasing effect on it. And the reel seat hardware that I use, which just happens to be from a spay rod, is a very simple, very simply elegant, as some people say, and it's just high quality stuff that holds together. I make my own ferrules, and these are ferrules on a spay rod, which are quite large, or 25s and 17s, which are large for ferrules. They're made out of aluminum This is what one of my spray rods actually looks like. This happens to be a 12 footer for about a 425 grain line, and it's in 3 pieces with 2 tips. And of course, this is the end. Thank you.